Oh, hello, and welcome to the very first episode of Arlington's Got It. I'm your host, Tim Rice. Each month, I'll be chatting with local folks, highlighting businesses, organization, events, and the history of the beautiful town of Arlington and the surrounding areas. I moved to Vermont, about 30 years ago, and in December 31st of last year, I relocated to Arlington. And I very quickly discovered a very warm and welcoming community with rich stories and treasures that I think really should be highlighted and shared with the greater community and our viewing public. The lovely folks at GNAT, I met them at a farmer's market in Arlington, which during the summer months happens every Friday night from 4 to 7. And we struck up a conversation, and they sparked the idea of having this talk show as a wonderful way to highlight the people, places, and things that make Arlington really special. In life, you've either got it or you don't. And I'm here to tell you that Arlington's got it. Now, what Arlington's got this month is entertainment in the form of a very newly created community theater group under the umbrella of the Arlington Commons called Arlington Common Community Theater, or ACCT for short. And this is a project that's very near and dear to my heart because I'm actually one of the people on the founding committee of ACCT, and I'm also directing the very first theater production, a lovely comedy by Ken Ludwig called Moon Over Buffalo. Let's learn a little bit more about Moon Over Buffalo by welcoming my very first guests of my show, two of the members of the cast of Moon Over Buffalo, Ms. Danny Moran and Mr. Douglas Cardoza.
Hi. Hello. Good to see you.
You too. Thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
So this is our very first episode of Arlington's Got It, and I thought it would be a great way to promote the Moon Over Buffalo show. So what I'd first like to do is have you guys introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then we'll get into the more meaty questions for you. Okay, so we'll start with Danny. Why don't you tell everyone about yourself?
My name is Danielle, and I live in Arlington. I've lived in Arlington for over 10 years. I have two elementary school kids who have been going to school. My oldest graduated from Arlington Memorial. She's now in college studying English, and I work at Neighbor to Neighbor up in Manchester.
Great.
That's it.
Yeah, so an example of someone local to the community that's involved in this project. Douglas, how about you?
Well, I'm a California native. So my name is Doug, and actually California native, retired teacher, and decided to move all the way across country to Podunkville, Vermont, and open a small business. So I'm now a small business owner.
So, Danny, why don't you tell us how you heard about Moon Over Buffalo, how it came to be for you?
Okay, well, that's kind of funny. I was actually next door at the Arlington Inn. Friday and Saturday night, they have a cocktail hour and have hors d'oeuvres. And there was a bunch of people in there, and they were saying they were going on an audition, and I should come over and try out. And I was like, no. And then they coaxed me enough, and I went over and auditioned.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Who knew that you were quite the actress,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, what role are you playing in Moon Over Buffalo? And tell us a little bit about it without giving too much away, because we want the audience who comes to see the show to be surprised, because there's a lot of fun surprises in the show.
I play Roz. I'm the daughter of George and Charlotte. I grew up in theater, and I wanted to take a break from theater. So I come back for a visit, and things go a little crazy.
Yeah, so the main characters in Moon Over Buffalo are George and Charlotte Hay. So think of them as sort of over-the-hill actors who, they're doing regional theater, but they really wanted to be big stars. So just, think of them as, the big hams of the show. And Danny plays their daughter who's back for a visit. So Doug, how did you hear about the show, and how did you come to audition?
Well, apparently it was making waves, and a personal friend of mine that's not in the show, but called me up out of the blue and said, "You need to audition for this." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I've done this show 2 times before, so playing different characters.
So which character do you play in our production?
Howard, which is actually Danny's character's fiance. So she brings me home to meet the family.
So, Doug, what do you think has been the most challenging aspect of getting ready to put the show on?
Actually, it's been a lot of fun, but it's been a lot of work. As I'm getting older, I won't say how old I am, but I am getting older, and I'm not used to the rigmarole and running around and all the action. The show has a lot of action in it.
Yeah, there is a lot of action and running around and silly things happening because while it's a comedy, it's considered a farce, which is a type of comedy. So, and if any of our viewers out there are old enough, like some of us, to remember the Carol Burnett show in the 1970s, Carol Burnett actually originated the role of Charlotte on Broadway 30 years ago, and it's actually the 30th anniversary of the debut of Moon Over Buffalo on Broadway. So if you're familiar with Carol Burnett style humor from the Carol Burnett show, it's very similar to that, very slapstick and farcey-like. Danny, what do you think has been the most challenging thing for you?
Well, it was my lines at first. It's been a while because I haven't acted in a very long time, but I'm getting more and more comfortable. And just even after rehearsal last night, I went home and I just again just de-stressed myself and just went through it, and it just was so much smoother. So just getting the lines down has been the hardest.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody says, especially as Doug said, as we get older, because I have also been in the production in the past, but I've also directed this for other groups many years ago, so getting back into it. But that's always the biggest worry is, am I going to be able to learn my lines? But it's interesting because eventually you're starting to see that it kicks in and you sort of amaze yourself at what you actually remember. What's your advice to someone who's never done something like that when they see an audition announcement? I mean, obviously you found out by accident, and people sort of goaded you into doing it, and it worked out great. And we love having you in the cast, and you're doing a great job. What's your advice to people who would like to do something like this but are a little bit nervous?
You know, I think having such a good cast team around, everybody has been so supportive and so helpful. It's actually been a wonderful experience. I think come in and you'll find that just everybody has worked together so much. It really has been a truly amazing cast. I love working with them, and you know, they've smoothed things out. When I was getting a little nervous, you know, everybody is so supportive, so I would say come on in.
Yeah, just take the plunge, and it's a good group of people usually, and you know, everybody tries to help you out, and it's always fun to discover new talent, and that's what the ACCT is all about, to be for the community, and we want people from the community to be involved and get up and show their talents. And there'll be, you know, other types of activities going on under the ACCT umbrella, like a Christmas cabaret, and we might do, you know, musical theater, we might do, you know, more dramatic roles. So whatever you're into, you might find something with ACCT. So one of the things that they touched upon is, and I wish we could have the whole cast here today, but as I mentioned earlier, everybody's volunteering, so you all have day jobs, and so we were lucky to have Doug and Danny come today in their schedules, but everybody else, you know, we all work for a living, and we're volunteering our time. So, you know, Doug, what's that like for you? I mean, is it posing any challenges for you scheduling wise, or?
Actually, it's been really great. The rehearsals have been after working hours, which is really great, and it hasn't been too strenuous. 3 days a week, so, and hour and a half. It's wonderful if you work for a living, and then you can just go and it's actually what Danny said earlier, community-wise or friendly-wise. It's just great to meet other people and get involved in helping something out in the community.
Now, how often do we rehearse for the audience?
Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays.
And it's in the evening, so it fits into the schedule. So don't let that deter you if you want to get on stage sometime and see one of our auditions announced. The show is going to be performed on Friday, October 10th, Saturday, October 11th, and Friday, October 17th, and Saturday, October 18th. at 7:30 p.m. So mark your calendars, and we'll tell you at the end of the show how to get tickets, because tickets are already available. One of the other things I'm interested in, hearing from your perspective is, what other types of shows would you like to have ACCT do? What would you be interested in seeing us produce?
I would like to see, a lot of theaters. I mean, there's 2 theaters in Bennington where I live, but they all want to do the big musicals. It's like, what about just the regular dramas? What about the comedies? What if you don't sing? Which I don't really sing, so it's kind of limited when you want to do community theater, and everybody wants to do is musicals. So that's what I'd like to see, a place that would actually do, focus on acting, either dramatic or comedy, rather than singing prowess.
So Danny, now that you've been cast in the show and you're in the midst of rehearsals, will you do it again?
I would definitely do it again. And I'd also like to see some children's plays
Oh yeah,
for the kids
absolutely.
in the community.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the things that we're also looking for other people in the community to, if you have something that you'd like to produce, if you want to be a director, and also it's important to have people backstage. So it's not only acting and being on stage. We need people to help out with props and costumes, set building, and we have a lovely group of people that are helping out on this production. But if you have an idea of a production that you want to do, you don't necessarily have to perform or direct. We can help you produce it. So any ideas that you have, you can go on our website and make some suggestions for us. We'd really appreciate it.
Also, how much are the tickets?
The tickets are $15, and you can purchase at the door, but I suggest going to our website. I believe it's arlingtoncommon.org, and you'll see more announcements. You'll also see some information, more detailed information about the show. And there was a little interview, a little bit of information about the Arlington Common, which is a wonderful organization. And if you're not familiar with where it is, it's right in downtown Arlington, and it's basically the 2 buildings right next to the Arlington Inn. So one of them is the former Catholic Church, which, if my history is correct, was known as St. Mary Margaret's, that had been abandoned a number of years ago, and maybe we'll do a show about that in the future and get the history of it. But the Arlington Common took it over, and they have several buildings there. They do pickleball in the back. There's a gym out back. And the old church, that's a very 1960s, mid-century modern church built in 1964, is being utilized as performance space. So they're in the process of writing grants and doing some refurbishment to it. But it's a great space to be able to do this play in. We were able to adapt it to the space that they have there. And they also do, the last Friday of every month is an open mic night. So if you want to come and showcase your talent, make sure you check out the open mic night. I think that's all we have for today, and I prepared some treats for my fellow cast members. And you'll notice that we have moon pies in celebration of Moon Over Buffalo, and buffalo wings to share. And I made some pink lemonade to share with my fellow actors and cast members. So thank you for joining us today on this very first episode of Arlington's Got It. I'm your host, Tim Rice, and I'm going to sign off with saying, remember, in life, you've either got it or you don't, and Arlington's got it.